So here's a little marketplace with different things.
I was excited to see vintage watches, but
When the school from Le Locle was in la Chaux-de-Fonds, I was at the technicum there. Salut Daniel. Ça va? Bonjour.
Dayton.
Hélène.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Pascal.
C'est mon porteur.
Mon porteur. He's the teacher from...
Bonjour Pascal. I'm Dayton.
Enchanté, monsieur.
He's teaching what I made, the technician and restoration.
Voilà, tiens, c'est le 6498. Hein.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Le basic school watch. Rien d'extraordinaire.
150 pieces.
Ouais, c'est ça. Oui, oui.
So they also, students also make the watch, in this case, for their own. And they go to the COSC. Yeah.
Puis là, on voit que ça fait 6 ans que je la porte tous les jours.
You see, he's wearing this watch since 6 years every day.
Yeah. That's what, because you didn't know we were going to run into him, so it's a good test of like what watch he really wears. Pascal, it's nice meeting you. I hope to see the school someday. It'd be very interesting to visit the school.
It was in 1865, normally the first watchmaking school in La Chaux-de-Fonds. And if you think that, okay, it seems it was private money to make this school, and then you see what watchmaking, what they get out of it.
Like a culture for centuries. Like a important part of the culture for centuries.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, and industry.
Yeah. Patek Philippe, the fact that it's been in the family for 100 years, a family business is not thinking about like the quarterly profits as much as they're thinking about how things are going to be in 50 years or even 100 years.
Yeah, and for watches, finally, if you want to repair watches from the 50s, 60s, often you can't find the furniture.
Cannot or can?
Oh, Jura Arc is here. You can. Often we find it's okay. It's more difficult nowadays, but in many cases you find a lot of furniture, and also in the brands, in the big brands, they have still the furniture or they remade it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful building. Using electric, so in the time they made electricity.
To power the watchmaking studios. What I learned from these kids is that they recycled high quality stainless steel leftover parts, and they can turn it into a new ingot or whatever, something to machine.
And and behind, if you go a little bit forward, just behind you see Grubel Force, the building.
Yeah. So the highway is right there, because
and on the right there is Château.
Right.
So building. Behind is a part of Patek Philippe. Also fair dials, and then comes Cartier later.
Jacquet-Droz was an ancient branded, because that was from the 1700s also, right? And was he or am I mixing things up? Didn't Jacquet-Droz make the automatons that are in the museum at Château?
Yeah.
And now they make they reference that in their dials and things. I remember there's a marquetry and birds and details. Salita. That's the building that got torn up by the storm.
I don't know.
This is a different one.
This is the second, and the first one here. This was very in bad shape after the storm. Yeah. If you go right here, just let's go here.
So in the summer, when the day is nice, you bike, and then in the winter, you go ski. Is that?
So actually, I don't make ski de fond. I don't know how you call that.
Cross country.
Cross country?
I think so. Like that's
This is of course the paradise for say cross country ski, but I don't do that. So I go by feet or by bike in the summer. Also to walk, it's very nice. We see Tissot on the left there.
Mm-hmm. It just went behind the hill?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just here, right?
Yeah.
Not far.
Yeah, somewhere here. Here we are.
So this is the Museum of Horology in Le Locle, and I think you agree this is probably one of the most important places to visit, maybe besides the Museum of Horology in Le Chaux-de-Fonds. But this one is smaller and more intimate, and in some ways, I think the presentations in here are great, and I think Roman actually restored some of the watches in this museum in his work as a how do you say it in French?
Restorer. Restaurateur.
So this video is not going to be about this museum in detail, but we want people to know that it's a good place to visit if you visit Le Chaux-de-Fonds and Le Locle.
Yeah, I restored some pieces of the Sando collection because I worked for Parmigiani, and Parmigiani belongs to the Fondation Famille Sando, and at the origin of the museum is also the Sando family.
Yeah. And there's also a watchmaking brand Sandoz, but that's not related to this Sandoz. Yeah.
Here's place Ephraim Jobin, first conservator of the museum. He's actually not living anymore. He became very old.
Did you meet him?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Once. Yeah. So for restoration, how I understood him was working the piece, but also bringing new ideas. And what we learned at Parmigiani,
don't bring any new ideas.
We don't bring the new ideas, just respect. And so there were different approaches. And try to find out what, how now I could go forward with a specific piece and.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a jacket throws with the marquetry on the dial. That's crazy. That's like Rolling Stones or something. Yeah.
How you don't touch that. It's beautiful. I don't know how they could work with that, but I can imagine they made so beautiful things with this stuff. I don't know how.
I have everything on this table except for this.
Ah. The spirit
Roman, do you have everything too?
I have almost everything.
Oh, I don't have this. These are pins that tell you how large a hole is, right? To test.
Yeah, and when you make a watchmaking
school, you make set.
You make this by your own.
Yeah, and you have to cut it each one by the lathe and measure it or something.
Yes. So actually, I don't have this lamp, but I have a modern one. These are basic stuff here. So just to see the room, I don't know if they are preparing. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
So, this clock of the watchmaking school of Le Locle. At this time, the school was in Le Locle. Later, it moved to La Chaux-de-Fonds, and again later, it moved again to Le Locle.
That's beautiful.
Down. Yeah, so
These are the marks of companies from that period, right? It's like the
Yeah.
trademark book. My daughter has a pocket watch of her grandfather that's a Dubois.
yeah, okay. Maybe go quickly upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, here's the restoration workshop.
Uh-huh.
At the time, the restoration workshop was in the cave.
Oh,
Here.
much better up
There,
here.
there was a very good restorator
Mhm.
here, and now it's a young restorator, a woman. She makes these things very good, and so they moved the workshop
Mhm.
up to the light. And so here's the saw with many Sando pieces of the Sando collection. You can see here, and also here the mirror.
Uh-huh.
This is a piece I restored when I was at Parmigiani. This is a masterpiece of Frere Rocha.
Uh-huh.
So on this side you have the enamel painting of the Bosporus, and on the other side you have a mirror. It's a hand mirror, and on the top you have a singing bird. So it's just the singing bird is come out a flower.
Mm-hmm. So it is animated?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you wind it up on the
Mhm.
bottom, and then the bird is coming out and singing, and the whole mechanism is in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this was a very nice work to do, restoration work to do. Also very delicate because this is a unique piece.
Yeah. No parts available.
No parts
On
available, but
eBay.
also for security you have to take care if there's something happens to that.
Yeah. There would be some disappointment. I can
this is
imagine
very
the stress. It's
big responsibility.
It's
Yeah.
kind of incredible how fragile looking even those flowers. Like, it's not very practical to have a mirror like that. You know, tossing it around in your dressing room or whatever.
Maybe people in time had another approach to this kind of objects.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. These were the most precious things. Much like watches remain for a lot of people today, but at that time they didn't also have Lamborghinis and Teslas and 747s and Gulfstream jets. They just had their mirror and their horse.
Yeah, maybe they have some horses and some carrots, but
Mhm.
They look. It's this collection of
That's the mirror.
Yeah.
Wow.
so yeah, many, because they belongs to the Sando family collection.
Mm-hmm.
So many of these pieces were restored at Parmigiani.
This guilloche is smaller than most I've seen.
Yes, you can look at it. Here, this piece here, it's very beautiful. On the bottom, there is some glass columns. Column.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when they are turning, it's like a waterfall, and you have two swans going, reaching together, and then it's closed again. And there is also the singing bird on the top. Yeah, I also worked on this part, on this piece.
Wow.
This is yeah.
And on the
Beautiful.
movement aspect of it, the mechanics.
The mechanics, yeah.
Are they? Is it based on a pocket watch movement, or is it completely unique?
I mean,
I guess there's a clock, which is a regular clock movement, but everything below is obviously unique because there's nothing else like that.
Yeah.
Is it powered by one mainspring or two?
No, there are different mainsprings for movement, and
so the clock is just
bird
clock.
and yeah. And the singing bird is with the swan animation together.
Like, if you restore this, do you have like a? Is it for you? Like, is it possible to like make something like this now?
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. It's just time.
Yeah, but I also felt as a restorer that sometimes even to restore is very difficult. So I thought to imagine these levers and these functions, it's so crazy. I don't know how they did that, because even seeing that, it's difficult to remake the same or imagine all this movement. So
I know what you're saying. It's unbelievable.
It's awesome. Yeah. in this space, it's you can see it in another eye.
Yeah, and also it puts you in the time period. The house puts you in the time period, and your imagination could go further. And also the luxury of the house and these pieces are not. These are all art pieces that were made for wealthy people, at least on this floor. I know upstairs there's more general collection.
Yeah.
But I think this is very impactful because of that. The presentation and you actually enter that world in your imagination. It makes it easier to.
Exactly. Also the silk rope. Yeah. This also is a piece on the right here. This is a piece I restored, and it was something like, it was in very bad shape, and it was something like 800 hours of restoration.
For you or for someone else?
I did the work on this principally, and someone started and then I continued, but I spent something like 800 hours on that.
Is it like pure joy or is it pure hell or something in between?
Something between, yeah.
Does it oscillate from the extremes? Does it go to both? Does it touch both extremes?
Yeah.
Everything in between then.
Yeah, everything in between. Yeah, sometimes.
Well, you should be very proud. That's incredible.
Yeah, actually we don't see the movement, but it's a striking clock. So. Striking. It was very rusty, in fact. That was the difficulty. And there were some ancient restoration or reparation trials, I mean, and some missing parts, and it made it very difficult without documentation. So, yeah. It's nice to see it here again. I mean, also this kind of waterfalls is beautiful, and also here Château probably. The singing bird clock with the dial on the bottom.
Do you pull it to activate it, or this string? It looks like you could pull it to make the bird sing.
Yeah.
But it might be just to wind it.
Normally you can select if you want that every hour it sings. So you can just see.
Oh, there's Huguenot.
Alfred Huguenot, yes. But he was probably a collectioner.
As well as having the metal stamping business or whatever.
Here a little bit later at 2 o'clock they come for the broderie. So here you see some broderie of how they made this broderie with.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and here also.
The history of Le Locle also was that in the winters when it was cold, the farmers would be, before watches even came along, they would do embroidery and these fine woven ribbons and things for on an industrial level. But when watchmaking was looking for laborers, the laborers already existed and were already used to doing things with their hands and with small machines and looms, and so the watchmaking took over as the winter activity of the locals here when from the birth of watchmaking in this area.
And if you think how it's crazy, okay, we think watchmaking is complicated, but I think this is something complicated.
Yeah. You have to weave between all those needles to get the pattern that you want.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And always go forward, then I don't know how they were able, and now still some persons
can do it.
Can do that. Yeah, or then the bigger broderies like here. I mean, so Sylvain Aubry, I know very well.
Oh wow!
He was just a little bit younger than me. And he's a very good teacher. As a good watchmaker, good mechanical, and a very good teacher also. And yeah, this book, The Theory of Complication, is also a new book now. Yeah, it's crazy. If you are interested in mechanism.
I wish I had. It's not in English,
no, but the pictures are for everyone. No, but it's it's worth it. Yeah. This is one of the book must-have.
I guess this could be the thing that makes me learn French. The only thing is I'll only know the watchmaking terms.
Yeah, and this book also about the watchmaking schools in Switzerland. It's also a very nice book about all these schools from Geneva to Vallée du Joux, La Chaux-de-Fonds, all schools, and the school watches. Yeah, Saint-Imier. Somewhere is Solothurn. I think where I went during apprenticeship. I went to Solothurn, and also this here you can learn the other words you don't find in the
other stores.
Other terms in French.
Yeah.
So this maybe is useful if you want to go out in Geneva and speak normally to people.
Non, mais c'est ce qu'on disait, on prend des choses assez faciles pour nous, parce que comme on doit parler ou comme ça, on est plus déconcentré, et des choses qui doivent prendre beaucoup plus de...
Il faut appeler ça, ça c'est la dentelle que vous avez fait.
That's what they make.
You are still sure you don't want to become a pirate? It's it's your last chance.
Maybe we should go away as a pirate.
After on the left side we will see the Maison du Bois. Soon here. So here is the B&B, Maison du Bois. Yeah, you have seen the plate in the museum. And actually it's a B&B.
That's cool.
It's a very nice house. And it seems this is one of the ancient street of Le Locle. The most ancient streets of Le Locle. And also here you can just Le Locle actually has they have the Exo Musée. They make some art on paintings on houses, big paintings, and very different artists, different styles, different sujets. And yeah, this is one of them. Actual.
I like that.
Paintings.
It looks almost 3D. Like.
Yeah, it's meant to be viewed from a certain angle. It feels like this is the right angle. But
Yeah, there are many. So this is a reason to come back to the Locle. We go quick through Le Locle like this, and then come back.
you have to be just a little bit far away to see it because
behind.
that looks like the tower.
No, here is Zenit. Here is another right.
Oh, it's unfortunate. They're doing some construction, so it's hard to. You don't see the.
You can just stop. Just stop here in front of the technicum.
Yeah.
Of the school, just here on the place.
Yep.
And you can just go.
Step out for a moment.
Just for 5 minutes.
Is that story true? The El Primero story about the somebody put all the machines in the attic when the quartz crisis
the tools.
Is it true, or is that just a urban myth?
No, I think if they say that, it must be true, and I can believe because I lived. When I worked at Parmigiani Fleurier, it was also in an old building, and there was a brand called Olma, and there were some archives,
like paper books of
and one day they decided
just get rid of it.
They threw it away. It was so, oh no. There were every time in the history there were a moment someone thought we don't need this anymore. The time is past for that. And other people believed or knew how much work they have put in this, and just keep it and don't decide too fast.
Even with the temporary mural on the construction, they're referencing the historical architecture. And I don't think that building. It looks like that might even be a modern building underneath. Do you know Laurence Bodeman?
Yes.
You know her?
Yeah.
She's a lovely person.
Yeah.
She's like a heritage director or something.
Yeah.
But she's great because she gets very excited about and she's in the perfect position also now to. But I think
she has a big brain she has the place for all this
and
stuff.
she worked at the Museum of Horology also, I think, and it's all about history for her.
Let's see the Technicum behind.
Okay, so that's the school that Pascal works at and has for many years, like his whole life, right? 40 years.
A long time now. I think he started a little bit after I made this study of restorator.
Is it Center Polytechnic or what is it? CP mean?
No, it's called Technicum.
But what's CPNE?
CP, Centre Professionnel de Château.
Okay.
It's a little bit like in Geneva you have HEPIA for the engineers. So there's a part of the buildings are here for the horloger with the entry with this balance wheel. Yeah, and on the other side here are some different technical studies for apprenticeships. Also not only watchmakers, also for automation, mechanicals, polytechnicians. But also the Pascal is working in here for the so in this how do you call that? I start again.
Pendulum.
So Pascal for the technician, the higher level study. You have the apprenticeship, then you have the technician level. So they are both here.
You know, I was just thinking of who I met recently who went to school here, and it's Remy Mayat. His company is called Crayon, and he's a watchmaker. He's studied at Le Locle.
Okay.
And he's got very technical engineering skills, but he makes beautiful watches.
Yeah. Very nice. On the left side, after this building, you will see Tag Heuer. Here. Goes through straight away. And then I don't know where we can. For the parking, here's the little museum we want just to
The Farmer
yeah.
Museum.
Ouais, t'as le watch out. Ça va? Ouais. Bien fini hier?
Ouais.
Oui. Ouais, bah, on a fait les enfants à l'échelle, comme ça, c'était pas trop prévu. On fait on a fait un peu les seins.
Wow.
That's incredible just to see it linked to, like, directly linked to farming is extraordinary. Like, I've always thought about it because I knew it, but when you see it in a farming museum, it's funny. It's the same tools. Of course, it's the same tools. What I was going to say is the same tools that were on the desk at the museum in Le Locle.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine working here.
So do you mean at the old time there will be like in a farmhouse and they will have a corner that just does for watchmaker? So they are farmers but also watchmaking both at the same time?
Yeah, in the winter they do that.
So there are maybe some different theories because there were big families, and in the families I'm not sure if probably it's not everyone is making everything in the family. There were some children that were strong, powerful, more for the work outside and so, and others were maybe more destined for watchmaking, others for different professions. But certainly they made the work more in winter.
The Museum of Horology is probably the #1 place that you have to visit. It's absolutely amazing. I'm here with Regis Higanon, who's the director of the museum. And we just happened to be here, and Regis is here because of the special event. So it's nice to meet you here.
It's my pleasure. And we can go inside this exhibition if you want. Yeah.
One of the things that I find the most amazing about this museum is you have the window on the restoration department.
Yeah, we have a restoration center, and they take care of the collection.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very big, the most significant collection in the world.
If people come on a weekday, are they likely to see those people working?
Monday to the week. Here is the exhibition, temporary, about the invention of the balance spring by Christian Huygens.
Very cool. Thanks.
if you want to try, if you want to try to. It's a very small piece.
I'm actually learning watchmaking also, and so I bought I bought a lot of tools vintage, and I've started making my own wheels and pinions, and I have some special hairspring tools. So I'm very curious about if it's. Yeah. All this stuff is fascinating to me because my goal is to really understand everything about watchmaking. Not to be a watchmaker, but to have a true feeling for that world. Well, thanks a lot. I know you're busy and you have a tour to lead, but it was a real pleasure meeting you. And
it's my pleasure to welcome you.
And it's an amazing museum. Absolutely, for me, it's my favorite museum in the world.
Thank you.
You have the most envied job in the world, so I hope you enjoy it.
I enjoy, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Regis.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's just putting the screws in? That's going to be easy. Can I take this?
Voilà.
Oh, perfect.
You say you're easy.
I need a microscope.
It's okay, you can give up.
No, I cannot. Okay, once you get it in there, it's no problem.
Okay.
Okay. Parfait.
You did it.
Merci.
Oh, thank you so much. You're like a little child, sweating.
I'm ready to go professional.
So this is now the new marketplace, La Chaux-de-Fonds, and of course the political thing was just to get the cars off this place. Yeah, that's why they built parking on the biggest place where we can have the circus Knie anymore.
But this is not your apartment. Oh, it's same building. Okay.
Upstairs. Yeah. This is one of the most precise public clocks in La Chaux-de-Fonds. Many clocks are never on time. Really.
Yeah.
But this one it is.
Is it connected to the NTP servers or
satellite?
Like GPS?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made it with a supplier together because it's a kind of flip clock.
Yeah.
And it's made with the ancient system of for the railway, and the empty plates at the end of the day, they just go through, and you have a nice project.
Are we going inside?
So, yeah, we can go. Hello. There.
Wow, you got the fancy bicycle tire pump here.
Yeah, this is the first and actually still only public pump I installed. Yeah. And so it's easier to install it by myself than ask
the city.
Ask to the city to do that. That's quite faster.
Did you have to get permission to do it?
I didn't ask.
If you don't know, Roman started this group called openmovement.org, and they've designed an open source movement. Roman is the co-founder, along with a group of others. So Roman's the founder of the organization and also the chairman of the construction committee. And then with a number of other watchmakers, they've put their minds together to come up with a open source movement that's designed to be made in the, let's say, the traditional way. And they have a fundraiser going on right now to raise money to continue the development of the movement. And so here we're going to talk with Roman a bit about that and check out his workshop. So Roman's workshop is kind of like a bench area, and then the bigger tools. And so I thought it'd be interesting just to talk about what each of these tools are. And I recognize you have two Chaux-de-Fonds 102s, and then there's a small milling machine, and he has a larger thing, which is it looks like a milling machine, and it is a milling machine, but it's also a jig borer, or in French, machine à pointe.
Machine à pointer.
Machine à pointer.
Generally called a hauser.
Or it's called a hauser because Hauser is the manufacturer of these. But these are to make very precise holes, for example, in the base plate. And it was called a machine à pointe initially because all it was to do was to make a very precision starting hole. And then this one is heavy duty enough, the Hauser, this version is heavy duty enough that after you make the hole very accurately, you can also drill it or mill it.
These machines were very important before having the CNC machines. Yeah.
In their early incarnations, they didn't have these digital. I even see that's a Matoyo. So all the original precision was done with micrometers, I presume. Is that right? They were all done with these compact and other micrometers.
Yeah, here you have the
scales and
here for to work very precisely. Yeah.
But the point is, as you were saying, they existed before CNC and before all this digital technology, and that even 150 years ago, these base plates had to be extremely precise.
This kind of machine existed in the 50s, but then until the 70s, they made these machines. So this is a later one. So the milling machine here, and also the profile projector.
Right. So after you mill something, you can look at it. It's like an overhead projector to give you an isometric view of a part, or near isometric, so you can precisely see if everything is in the right position.
Yeah, and it's for I would say complex forms. A round part you can't
measure point to point and know what it is. Yeah.
And like this kind of ressort, a spring, kind of spring, can also then compare to the shape, to the plan.
That's cool.
So this is nowadays it exists in a digital form, of course. And this was the Rolls-Royce at the time. Yeah.
It's still a Rolls-Royce to me.
it's still a Rolls-Royce. Yeah. And then.
So what's the difference between the two Chaux-de-Fonds 102s? Because the 102, as I understand it, is the height of the center from the bed. Is that right?
Yeah, from here.
And then you have two of them. So is it just because, so two people can work at the same time, or you can have one set up to do one thing and another set up to do another?
Yes. This is the advantage for me, to have different setups here, and it's not necessary to change everything. Sometimes also, if I'm making a work, I go ahead, and then between I have to make something quickly for prototyping or so, and I wouldn't want to dispatch the thing, and so I can work on this. These are different generations of Chaux-de-Fonds.
That one's motorized at the head, and this one uses a belt, or the belt's just underneath.
No, this is not motorized at the head. The motor is also it's also the belt, but it's a more modern concept.
Yeah.
You can change the belt here. But it's definitely the more modern closed head, the open head. Take care.
How do you do screws?
Screws, I just in a normal way, I make an ébauche of screw here, and then I cut it by hand in a filière.
A plate. In English, it's a die, a small die. So you just screw the blank in and it puts the threads.
For the not industrial.
And also you have screw plates for the very small screws.
For here.
Yeah, like this is the,
Yeah, this is
set of dies and screw taps, right hand for watchmaking. Starting at 0.3, that's crazy. 0.3 millimeter.
Yeah. So here, this is so to make a screw like this one was is for open movement. Actually, at the time when we hadn't the whole budget for the prototypes, we had to save on some parts. And for the screws here, for the 20 prototypes, they choose to spend 2,500 francs for some 100 screws, or to make 20 screws here on the lathe. Yeah, okay, I made it here on the lathe just for the prototypes. If we had the money or the whole budget, we would
blow it on screws.
And and this is also a method that learned me Luc Monet in France. And so with some, you can make, it's possible to make screws in series. So with the material steel here, and then with une butée inside, a stop inside the pince, can work with that. Or also, if I need a stop on the other side, I can make a stop here. So if I have just the material, sometimes I just have the material from here, and I need to take it out and then to cut. Take it out and to cut.
You can use a stop on this side.
Yeah.
And that's to create the ébauche, just the kit to then go again and turn it down sequentially.
Make one operation on all screws, and then make another operation on all screws.
Yeah, that's
you
cool.
can work a little bit in series, so it does not get too bored, and you have more precision. Finally. And also here it's very practical to look with the binocular to see what you make.
That's cool. So one thing I didn't know with the collets, is it to put a stop in the back? Is that something that you need, like an apparatus in your headstock to stop the piece on the, or is it something that is improvised, or is it a feature of some heads?
It's a feature. It's a feature you can.
I mean, some collets.
Some collets. Can show you that there? Somewhere here. This is the feature.
Oh, cool.
You put you have to unscrew the things,
I get it.
because it blocks.
It locks inside, and you set the distance.
And then you can set here.
Yeah, that's probably another good reason for having a 102 instead of 70, because I think the W12
different sizes. For
I get it. That's cool.
Here it's so you have to take it back. So bigger. Yeah.
That's great.
Very practical device. Yeah. And also on the lathe here, I made for to finance the prototypes of open movement. We decided to make 20 prototypes and to sell a part of them to donators. Or to sell, so they give the money to make for that we can make the prototypes, and we thought we give a watch back. So we made the donator watch, and the donator watch initially we made the case, the open movement case for this watch, with very good magnetical protection. That means a double bottom.
A double hole?
This is how you call that, bottom?
Case bottom, yeah.
Case bottom.
Case
so a double case bottom inside,
Mm-hmm.
and then the case bottom closed like this to protect
Mm-hmm.
the precious
magnetism.
so
the
the precious movement of all,
Yeah.
not only magnetism, but of all.
Yeah.
So some people told that we need a glass back, a transparent back, and so there was the choice, and then the choice was, if you have the plain back, we can open it. If you have the open one, we can
double. You can't do the anti-magnetism.
It's less practical to close it. But then of course I saw that
so the second one,
the decision, it was my decision to make it in that way. And after that, of course, we want to see the movement, the first open source movement of this kind in the world. And so we decided to open it all. So I opened the backs here on the lathe, and then open it, and then we have
sapphire.
Yes, sapphire glass. But it was necessary to cut out the. It was necessary to cut out the middle.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I make this. You need to be very precise, and actually here you have a special number of case packs, and numbered. They are all numbered, so I can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
So, and actually to make it easier on the lathe, I give this to cut it out by water jet, and so it's less risky to than to take it out. Or how I made the first with a drill, and then open it. Yeah.
Does it
and
have
it's hard.
Does
it's
it
hard
have a
steel.
step? Doesn't it need a step also?
Yeah, sure.
So the water jet can only do the non-stepped cut.
And smaller, so it doesn't need precision, but it saves me a lot.
It saves you to take out that material, and then you can put the step on the lathe.
So now I can start directly with the precise inside, and then the step. Yeah, it's stainless steel also, so need to be to have good hard metal tools. See here, I'm always working with this kind of hard metal. For
engravers.
Engravers.
Graver is the
So from diametal here, and that works good.
Something else thought it'd be interesting. Oh, I want to ask you, with the next step of open movement, in your mind, do you have like a goal for how many ébauches you would like to make in the first run? Like, is there a minimum? I assume there's no maximum, but if is there a minimum of 100 or 1,000 or 20 seems too few, because I know that the cost goes down with quantity. But what is your thinking about how many ébauches you would like to do initially? And then the second part of that question is, how much of that can be done in your workshop in terms of production, or is it all going to be outsourced to parts manufacturers? So
to be outsourced, because there are this quantity and precision. It's more easier to outsource that on the good machines. If someone is motivated to make his own parts, he can.
That's the point.
Later,
you can
actually,
replacement parts or practice for learning.
And if you are motivated. But now this is the issue now, and this is also the reason why we make the crowdfunding actually. Because the step from 20 prototypes to a series, there is we can make 1,000 parts. The price comes down, but the investment for 1,000 parts, you have a little price but per thousand for each part. So it makes a big amount. Yeah, if you have an investor who you can do that, but for us it's difficult to find an investor because they say, yeah, it's open, why I invest in this if another one can do it? So that's why we need the crowd now. And so, and to make a too big step between 20 and 1,000 for the main plate or so, for example, it's a risk if there is some it's a little, okay, we make the prototypes, we see some thousands there maybe to set a stone. We have 2,000 or 3,000. The hole was not the tolerance was not right. In general it was right, but one stone there is a little bit, the stone is a little bit fragile than others, and this hole needs a little bit more precise tolerance. Normally we have always the same tolerance for all stones. So that means if you have then 1,000 parts and you have to adjust, okay, if you can make it bigger, you can adjust it. If you have to make it smaller somewhere, it's difficult. So we'd have to make it a small step. So now the goal is to come to the first 100 or 200 part kits that we can say, okay, we have made the prototypes and now people can work with that and give really the feedback from outside, and also try for themselves if open movement is the right movement for them. And this is now the difficult step for us. It's why we are looking for the crowd, because we think, okay, open source. Open source means not that we are exempt of all costs we could have in a project. How to finance it? No, the crowd is powerful, or can be powerful.
And then if you, let's say we're talking about base plate or main plates, is there, when you have that outsourced, there's some cost for the manufacturer to make the tools, or not? Is CNC at the point where everything in a main plate can be made by a CNC machine that uses conventional tools, or do they have to, I'm sure there's a setup cost of programming the machine and making sure it has the right tool set. But do you also sometimes have to have Dixie or someone actually make the tooling that's necessary for the chamfer or whatever, the details of that plate? This is the thing. You need, every drill, every little tool has some costs. Also, if it's hard metal, the costs are, and the tool has also a living time. You can make it'll wear down, and so they will. You always need tools, and sometimes, as you said, the programmation, setup costs, and all this stuff. You have it. You have it every time you start a series. Not the whole cost of program if once the program is made, but the setup you have every time, and then also some posage. If you have, you call that reprise. If they take apart compound and they have to turn it, for example, it's a reprise. Sometimes they need special to make a special tool that you can take precisely, because it's not like just flipping it over. It's also has to be perfect, position perfect, and that process is also done automatically. And so there's again setup cost, and perhaps like tooling the tool that grabs it through 2 points to do it so that it's all precise. That's interesting.
And of course, depends on the number we want to make. There will become a point where maybe a more expensive tool
solves
can
make it cheaper in the quantity.
But you have to make bigger series. So you have to find the way here. And now it depends on how much we have, how we can go ahead with all that.
That's really cool. That's super interesting. Do you have the capability to make everything for the open movement in your workshop, or are there certain things? I know there are going to be certain things like hairspring, mainspring. Those are specialized.
But I mean, in a theoretical way, I could make a watch inside this workshop or someone. It's a theoretical way, and this was the goal of open movement, to say, okay, some parts are really reasonable to make on industrial CNC machines. Of course, hairsprings or also escapement. This is really difficult to make it.
The escapement being the escape wheel or the pallet fork or both?
The pallet fork, the ruby of the pallet, the escape wheel, the small pinion for the escape wheel. Theoretical it's possible, but it's very, very difficult. And then you make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then get crazy. So many pieces make sense to make in an industrial way, at least as an ébauche. And this is the goal of open movement, to make ébauche of wheels, of axes, and screws and all that stuff. And then you continue to work here. And if someone has pleasure to make the main plate on this kind of Hauser machine, he can do it. But if you only want to make the decoration and go ahead with this, okay. It means that also if you want to make wheels, okay, you maybe buy the wheels, the plate, you have the axe, you take the wheel, and if you want to make the wheel and grow your know-how, you will try it out, you make it, and then you put it on the axe you have from the kit. And also for the wheel, we have made a video out of with Luc Monet in France. We were there and made the wheels on Chaublin 770 lathe.
I just want to take a step back to ébauche. So for anybody who doesn't know, ébauche is the word for kits. So like in the early 1900s, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that even companies like Rolex and Patek Philippe, in the early 1900s and late 1800s, they would buy from Valjoux or the movement makers ébauches, which were unassembled movements complete, and then they could in their factory they could assemble them, have their employees assemble them and decorate them, because you can't decorate a movement after it's assembled. So Patek Philippe could engrave its own logos on the movement, plate it, decorate it. In some case, they added jewels to movements, etc. And it started from this ébauche concept, and that's what the word means. And that's the context you're using it in for open movement also, which is that open movement's next stage is to create ébauches or kits for the open movement.
An ébauche is a draft. It's not something finished normally. Today we call an ébauche of...
Some people use it just to describe a movement. Is that right?
Today we say ébauche because it comes from état or c'est l'état, and but it's perfect movement. You don't have to touch it. It's perfect.
Yeah, and also you can order them from Salita or ETA as already decorated, and they have different grades of decoration. But that's a whole different thing. That's really the way a lot of micro brands are making watches today. They get the Salita movement, they pay the grade that they want for the decoration, and then they just put it in the... And you're saying they sometimes call those ébauches, but it's kind of incorrect.
We all call them this movement the ébauche. But it's not the ébauche that you call. I can show you one from the time. For example, here we have some ébauche. So this is a ébauche of a Chinese watch. They were famous in the Val de Travers at the time, in the 19th century. So since I mean it's 1717, the fabrication of ébauche started. So you have the main plate, and then everything what is to do, axis, wheels, arrondir, the teeth. You have to do in the workshop the escapement.
So they did actually make their own wheels. The ébauche were the plates, the things that were very hard to make, and the manufacturers themselves would make their own pinions and wheels, and Yeah.
Yeah. Over here you see the wheels. The wheels are here, but just the hole is not with a stone, nothing, no ribby. So you have to make it how you want, and then you needed the machine à arrondir to make the teeth.
The rounding up tool.
For the teeth.
Yeah.
So that everything works together correctly. It was ébauche. It was raw. So this was a bigger one, and here you see this was a smaller one.
Right. But the main thing being that most the plates were required machining that many people did not have.
Yeah.
But they did have the capabilities with a lathe and a milling attachment or a indexing head, and then the rounding up tools. Yes. People could make the wheels and pinions and many other things. So, but if you,
you have seen in the when you look in the Musée Paysan, the workshop, or in the museum, this little établi workbench, and the Musée Paysan, for example, you see how they worked at the time, just in a farmer house. You don't have this kind of machines there. But you have everything, the little tools, the little things. And then it allows to work.
Is this your parts for the 20? These are like spares, and the way you organized it
for the
20 pieces up to this point. Yeah.
No, actually, this is a kind of
reference
prototype. It's for OM10, but it's a kind of prototype to overview the part kits and how to get it organized. Because if you want. If you have to make one part kit, okay, it's maybe easy. And in a Swiss manufacturer, for single pieces or so, special pieces for part kits, these kind of boxes are frequently used. But if we send a part kit outside of Switzerland, or even in Switzerland, it's expensive. Yeah. It's an expensive and also. So in the manufacturer, it turns and they fill it up and use it again. So for open movement, we had to find a system how we can make part kits. But if you need one part kit, or 2, or 5, or 10, or 50, you need a certain flexibility, because if you have even 10 part kits, you don't want each screw in a single.
Yeah, you want a box with 10 screws.
Yeah, but the main plate, you have to put one by one by one by one, otherwise it gets scratched. So there are different kind of parts, and to get these different settings together, this is also a main difficulty for. And then to say how we can make that with a cardboard box. We can make that. We can use this kind of
paper to protect the plates
and so screws and stones we can put
because they're not fragile like a wheel with a axle built in. Yeah.
And when you make the 5 pieces or 10 pieces, it's easy to have them together. And we can put the platen bridges and the other delicate parts. Each one in a pocket, and then we can also take one box or 2 boxes or 3 boxes and get organized like this, always with the same single box. You have to make one box, and we are very flexible with that. But this is to see, and if I found it also practical for here to get a little bit organized to keep the overview.
It's crazy,
Okay, we have 80 references here for one sheet. So here we have the others, that it makes something like 105, and then each reference or some references we need screws, more than one screws. For example, we have more than PAVs, etc. Yeah. So that makes many pieces, even it looks not so complicated. In fact,
it looks complicated. I see the piece that we had on the machine.
Projector de profil.
Yeah, the projector de profil. Here's the springs that you were showing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so it's in the right way. And that means, okay, making a watch can be easy to make a watch, but all the things around that.
Yeah, no, the process of like making something that's organized and ready for retail or to sell to end users is very very complicated.
Yeah, you also made a
3D printed movement holder, right? I saw the plans for that on the website. That's
cool.
Cool.
So we published that with the reason that
then you don't have to supply it. You can people can download it and have it 3D printed.
Yeah, and we spent time to make that, and maybe someone other spent time for something other that nobody has. So we can save the time if we don't have to remake every time the same thing and get the experience. Because if someone print that out at the other end of the world, and then he can let us know, okay, it's very clever how it is made, or you also can say something is not functioning.
Yeah.
And
Get
for example
feedback.
here, for example we have the for the treat, we have, how you say the screw,
The nut.
an écrou. The nut. So
If you go too far, it falls out.
no, just to show you that.
Yeah.
We just made a nut here, and so it's easy to make it in 3D printing, and you can really
tighten it in there. Yeah.
So this kind of it's very practical. This 3D printing for that. Also, I can show you that. Okay, this is the 3D print for
cool.
for the winding block that was made of Roland Murphy. Was the first thing, first 3D we have had released, and Roland made this 3D printed winding block, so we were able to see if it works well.
Yeah.
If
was I haven't seen a movement with a winding block that was separate before. Is there a reason, or what is the reason that you did you designed it with a separate winding block?
Yeah, there are some different reasons. I can show you that here. So, on this bigger platen, main plate, so this is also a nice 3D printed main plate for educational purposes. Yeah, and you see here the screw feet, pied vis. You have to put into the platen, so the platen does not have treats. The pied vis has the treat is in steel, has the treats inside. So then we can, for example, make the precise position. So here we have the 3D or the winding block. So it means that now the platen is worked from this side and from this side, but not from the third side. It's the complexity of the platen is a little bit separated. It makes it more sure, I thought. And that means also here we need really everything must be very accurate, but also in the winding block.
So
you need really an accuracy, an upper accuracy, precision. And now depends how you want to work with open movement. If you take the part kits, okay, you have all and you don't care. But if you say maybe you want to make another main plate, but still keep this, you can concentrate you on the main plate, try it out.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Make growing your know-how about this, and you don't touch to this delicate part. And another thing is also for servicing. And for servicing, before servicing, when you assemble your watch, you make the casing, emboîtage. Okay, you put the dial, you put hands, you set up everything. You take the winding stem out, make your casing, look that everything is clean. It's not clean, it's clean, yeah, okay. And after some time, then you have finished, you fixed, how you call that? Fixation, the movement.
Yes,
to
clamp the
clamps.
Case clamps in the case.
Yeah, to hold the movement inside. Yeah, okay, everything is good. And then you put back the stem. Normally everything goes good.
Not normally.
But if you have if you have the bascule, the lever going out of the pignon coulant, okay, you take all out, you take off your hands, the dial, and you start again. So now here it's possible in the finished movement, it's possible to take it out, and you take care. Of course, we took care, like every other construction in time, that it does not arrive. It should not arrive. But sometimes it arrives, and so it's possible to take out the winding block and put it back. Also for servicing, if there is maybe a shock or something on the stem, on the crown, and a damage or something here, it's possible to change the winding block, and not to change the whole platen, main plate. Also, in watches, when there is a waterproof issue, and water is getting into the watch, often it's at the crown. So you have roasted parts here,
that's true too,
oxidation and so. And that can damage your part here. It's oxidated. People continues to wind it up. It's clutching everything, and so there also you can just work on this part. These were the things, because we wanted to make just a new clone of a movement. Of an
all those
movement.
reasons are great. You know, this screw also, in my experience, it's difficult, but when it's in the movement, because you always have to screw it into this plate upside down. Like I end up trying to hold it, and oftentimes when you're working on the whole movement, you can forget about it and put this plate on first, and then you realize, oh wait, I have to put that in. This one's different. Okay. Your plate is different, but oftentimes you have a plate over this that holds it so this screw can't get lost, and then you forget to do it. So I see lots of reasons for. You gave like 10 reasons for doing that, and actually here we have two possibilities for this. We can have the screw, or no, the screw to screw, just, or we can have a pin with the spring here. Actually, in the movement we have here, we don't need the spring. It's just a screw in a classical way, and we put it also when you unscrew the tirette. Here we have the plate over it, so normally you can't go. Yeah, that's helpful too.
So we thought about little things, but we have two versions. Like for other things, we have two versions. Depends on how you want to work with it. And
that's cool. I love that.
And if you, we can look, bring you the, I mean, okay, this is not the complete part, but this is the real sides.
Wow, that's crazy.
This is the real sides of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Can I put this? I just want to look at it because I have this loop. Did you make these parts on your hauser? Some of them? Any of them?
Not these parts. The screw, the iterate screw, was made on the 102.
But how were they made then? These parts?
On CNC machines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they call those fräsers CNC. Of course, to make that that kind of part on CNC, there are more than one supplier on this. On
the open movement, even
yeah.
in the prototypes.
Maybe. Yeah. I can show you how many pieces are inside here. Come to the workshop
all the
here.
Different steps
To
of prototyping.
the workbench.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here. Actually, I made some pre-assembling.
Mm-hmm.
Here you see all parts. Here you see all parts, but you can also see that, for example, here we have some pre-assembled parts.
Mm-hmm.
And not
And that's
more than two.
and they come
So-
from the. You can have them come from the manufacturer pre-assembled, or you're just saying
No.
you did it here.
No, we assembled that. This is the typical prototyping work. And here also it's already pre-assembled.
Mm-hmm.
It's for. So there are many pieces inside.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
It
Yeah.
makes a lot of pieces.
That's just
so
that block.
you have décolletage pieces. Okay, screws
Mm-hmm.
like here.
Mm-hmm.
Screws 5 times the same.
Yeah.
But the other décolletage parts, some tirette, lever,
Mm-hmm.
the small spring.
Yeah, that's the same spring we saw
yeah.
before.
Yeah. To do that on CNC machines, they need the step file, 3D step file, but also the 2D plan, because we have to put tolerances on it, fabrication tolerances, to say that if it's in this tolerance,
It's okay,
it still works when everything is together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if the tolerances are too
Tight, you overpay.
tight, it's very expensive
Yeah.
to do it, and if it's too large, maybe it does not function after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is important to. So on this you have one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 suppliers
Mm-hmm. That's
working for that.
wow.
And yeah, what was your other question?
Well, that answers the question. You send them the step files plus the 2D plans with the tolerances, because tolerances affect the cost, and you don't want to overpay. You don't want to have something manufactured to a higher tolerance than necessary, because it just adds unnecessarily to the cost.
Yeah.
And then multiple different vendors are used for even that block, that tiny block, which is the winding and setting mechanism.
Yeah.
And also they all have competitors, so you can also shop around for the better price, depending on quantity. I'm sure that some manufacturer or some outsource manufacturers they don't even want to talk to you unless the piece count is a certain height, because they have their own internal processes, and other ones that are more used to prototyping, they're more inviting and their costs are higher, and that's why the quantity matters in the end. If you can raise the financing to do 1,000 ébauches instead of 100, the price will reflect those quantity, and that's all logical. It's not nobody in the business is trying to take advantage of anybody else. It's just that when you make a few pieces, it costs more because the process, the advantages of mass production are less. They can't be factored in because they're not there.
And I mean, it's also the sense of open movement. And okay, I'm close here in Chaux-de-Fonds to many of these suppliers who make parts. But if you imagine you are abroad, it's not so easy to work with them. For me, it's easy to, if they have a problem, I can have a look, I can discuss with them or so. Sometimes so small, simple things, but you have to discuss depends on the process and all these things. And if you are abroad, it's not so easy to go to all these suppliers to get what you want, and so. And that makes sense in open movement to supply it together. The supplier have one person to talk talk about quality, precision, and all that. We make one quality control, and then everyone has the advantage to have good parts and having Swiss parts. Actually, this is the one of the goal of this project. And what would it say? For example, the small spring here, these springs, they were wire cutted. No?
Is wire cut is like the wire is charged with plasma or something.
With electricity.
And then it cuts on its perimeter.
And also here these flat parts. And for that, we had a collaboration with the school in Biel, in Bienne, with the Lycée Technique.
Because they have wire cutting machines in the school?
And they have students making that. So we worked on that, but actually there it was not easy to find the material in a low quantity. You can buy every material you want if you need 1,000 kilo. But if you need less, it becomes more difficult. So it took time to set up that, and also the work at school, they have some programs to follow and to make this kind of works between. Sometimes they are happy, but sometimes they are not happy, and then they have exams,
the timing of the student curriculum, and they also want to be learning something, not just being used to manufacture. So
they made some for prototypes, but it made a lot of sense to make that there, because it's another thing to say on these parts they can't have a note like 4, 4.5, 5. In Switzerland, the 6 is the highest. On this kind of parts, you have okay or not okay. Then there were some. They changed. There were some. One person get retired, and there was some change, and then we had to take it back to make it by normal supplier. Finally, the other pieces. For the first prototypes, we had the parts of the school, but it's
that's cool.
It's not so easy. It's the goal to work with school, but it's not always so easy to go forward. It took us a lot of time. Or at least at me to follow that.
There's so many.
It's very interesting, but but sure, this is a very practical. The goal of open movement, to have this kind of practical exercises that makes really. Every exercise makes sense. That gives a little bit more sense of the reality.
So this is a model of the escapement for the OM10. Is that right?
And it was made for a bachelor work in Geneva at HEPIA.
Somebody's bachelor thesis.
A
student. I love the little palette stone, and the fact that it's almost like you can use this to understand to calculate the exact position that's necessary relative to the mount to have the escapement work.
Yeah. Okay. Here, actually, it's not in the right position.
But yeah, I see it. What it is. It's a spring pulling it one way and a screw setting it the other way. So you can do micro adjustments and then see the results.
Yeah, or you have the initial position, and then you can create errors, and you can see
how much tolerance for error.
Yeah, what makes errors.
In addition to the palette stones, all of the student who made this has put in calibration for all of the, maybe not all, but many of the different errors that manufacturing or tolerance errors that can each be measured using the same system. And is that something that is done for a lot of development of escapements by independent watchmakers or companies, or is it just a first off idea of the student, or what's the history of that?
Here it was part of the bachelor thesis. So we from Open Movement thought that it could be very interesting to have that. So we suggested there was a work on construction work on escapement and fork work and all this stuff, and then we suggested to make this kind of device with this adjustments, but we didn't say how he has to make the adjustments. We thought it could be interesting to have it, and he imagined, then it was his work to imagine how to realize it. And that was he made also, and it was also very practical part of the work. But otherwise, no, it's a big work to do this kind of device.
Yeah. These are these called the banking? No, what are those pins called? The pins on either side of the fork. You only know the French.
I don't know.
But so that
Coupe de limitation.
Yeah.
Or les butées.
Yeah. But that's cool. So those are adjustable. The position of the center is adjustable on this axis, and that's really neat. The other thing, Roman, is that I think the value of what you're doing is that the industry is set up to train people to do these individual things very well, which is that because there are tens of thousands of people working in Switzerland making making watches and watch parts. What there are not a lot of, and I would probably say not enough of, is the knowledge of the whole process that of how to do it, and the complexity of that whole process. And by Open Movement, you're doing that, but you're also sharing an insight into how to do that. And for me, that's the most fascinating thing. It's obviously incredibly complex, but because it's complex, someone has to break it down and bring that knowledge out, or it's not even knowledge in the sense that when we talked before, is it a secret? It's not really a secret. It's really a body of knowledge that takes time to learn, and you can't learn it from a book. You can't learn it from anything other than experience and sharing that experience. Yeah. And the big companies share that experience internally because they have processes by which people advance and train, and they also have the built-in structure to filter down that knowledge into all the specific roles. But if a person wants to understand in a broad sense whether they want to be the CEO of a company or a watch designer or a watchmaker, if they want to have a understanding of the whole process, there are very few windows into that are available, and Open Movement and you are one of those windows. Yeah. And that's why I think this is such a special project, and that you are such a special person. And I'm going to give you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
And there are so many little details that makes now we are working on that since 3 months with a company of Chaux-de-Fonds, They make the watch straps since 80 years.
Yeah.
But it feels that it's the first time. But because they make it, it's a project, and it's the same there to make 1 or 10 straps or 20 straps for the prototypes. It's the same than making 200s or 2000s. So it's and then some details.